Hey guys, X-Ray 311 Spartan back at you with another video. This one is all about MDC ID. We're just going to be talking about setting up ID, caller ID, aliasing, whatever you want to talk about or call it, etc. We are not going to be setting up everything else like call alerts, select calling, all that other fun stuff. This is just about ID. So fire up your Astro 25 CPS, portable or mobile, load that code plug in there, and let's get started. First things first, we need to make sure that we have an MDC system established. So on your tree of fun, make sure you've got one there. If you don't, make one. And under the general tab, we need to set the primary ID, which is the unique ID to this particular radio. Everybody's primary ID must be unique. It is hexadecimal 0001 to DEEE. I'll put all of this in the description. You cannot use F, and the first character here cannot have E either. All right. So whatever you set, all four must be present. So if you've only got a 3-digit ID, change that first one to a 0. All four must be present. The secondary ID, your mileage is going to vary a little bit. I have seen people mirror the primary ID, like in this example here. I've also seen people use the secondary ID as a group identifier. So Bob, Mary, John have 1431, Joe, Sally, Becca have 2222, Karen, Timmy, and Spartan's got 9999, or whatever you want to put in there. So your mileage is going to vary on that. So depending on how you have everything else set up, if you're using this with, a conventional or a trunking system or whatever, use what is necessary for your system. If you're just using this simplex to simplex or just on a conventional system, nothing crazy in the background for infrastructure, then I typically just mirror the primary ID to that. The variable ID is a 3-digit one, and that must be the same across everybody's radio that you want associated with a group. So if Bob, Mary, all the way down to Spartan there are in the same group, then make sure everybody's radio has that same variable ID. It too is hexadecimal. So 3 characters, that's what you get. 000 to triple E, I think, is what you can put in there. So just understand, F is reserved for special use stuff. As you see, I've got FF up here. That's the all call stuff. So the character F has a special purpose. So you're usually not going to be allowed to put that in there. When it comes to radio check, inhibit, status, message, all that other fun stuff, like I said, it's for a different video. How you want to set up your push to talk ID is going to depend on what box you check here. So if you want your ID to be sent when you key the radio at the beginning of your transmission, you're going to check the leading PTT ID box. If you want it to be sent as soon as you are done talking and dekey the radio, you're going to check that trailing box. Yep, you can have both. It can send it before and after. That's very generous of you. Just don't be that guy. All right, so pick one, whichever one you want, there you go. If you're having the ID sent before you start talking, you've got a couple of options here. The side tone stuff is really handy feature that's going to allow the radio to emit a tone. So this way, if you just start talking as soon as you key that radio, it's not going to do you any good because the radio is sending your ID. That tone is telling you, hey, I'm not done sending the ID. Wait to talk until the tone is over. Short side tone is just that. It's a shorter tone instead of a longer tone. So if you want to use that, that's really handy feature, especially for people that are not used to push, wait, talk. They just like to start talking as soon as their button is pushed. It kind of clips the front of the transmission off. You know what I'm talking about? So the side tone is a really handy feature for that. Something else I need to talk about is DOS, Data Operated Squelch. Make sure this is the same or as close as you can get it across everybody's radio. Now, your operation could be 12, 18, or 12 and 18. I usually prefer that one myself. And your coast time is going to vary based on how you've got stuff set up in the background or whatever. Get it as close as possible on everybody's radios. Different manufacturers implement this slightly different. So for example, the coast time here is 275.9. Some manufacturers you probably can't put in 275.9, but you can put in 250 or 300. All right, get it as close as possible, but everybody needs to be pretty close as far as these numbers go and what settings you've got there. If you can get them exact in everybody's radio, good to go. So now that you have your MDC system basically set up, what we need to do is go into our conventional personality that is going to be using the MDC signaling. On our receive options, it can be mixed mode. Transmit must be non-Astro, obviously. And on our signaling tab, we need to tell it, hey, we want to use MDC. Select the system number that you just made. So if you've got more than one, whichever one you just made, use that one. If you've only got one, then one's only in there. That's fine. Like I've got two here, but this is system 2. Revert channel, just keep it on selected channel for now. Like I said, all that other stuff is for a different video. Make sure you check that push to talk ID box if you want your radio to send the ID when you transmit. All right, really important. You're going to set all of this for every personality that is going to use it. On the MDC tab, go ahead and check all of these other boxes so this way your radio can properly do the things it needs to do when it sees IDs and call alerts and page and tones and fun stuff. Really important, set that unmute type to OR. I know I need to do that video. It's been forever since I've been talking about it, but unmute type needs to be OR. And your MDC call ID list, this is your alias call list. You might want to set that up if you would prefer to see people's names instead of numbers. If you don't care about that, then you can just leave it blank, but here's how you set that up. On the Tree of Fun, under MDC call list, make a call list if there's not one there, and fill it out with everybody's radio ID and whatever you want the text to be. So if you want names, put names. If you want call signs, put call signs. Whatever's going to work for you, however you want that to work, there you go. This way, when your radio receives a transmission from Frank, radio ID 2873, your radio is going to look up ID 2873 and see that Frank is on the list. So the radio is going to display Frank instead of 2873. Make sure everybody's got the same call list. Otherwise, if they are not on this call list, just the number is going to show up. But that's pretty much it for MDC ID. Now that you've got this established, you write that to your radio and profit. Good stuff. So like I said, make sure you set your RX-TX signaling and MDC stuff on each personality that is going to be utilizing MDC signaling. Really important. And if you've got, a call list, cool. Make sure you assign that to that personality. I forget how many you can add in here. It's quite a bit. And you can obviously have more than one list, but you're going to be limited to one list per personality. Did I say that right? It's still early. Anyway, so there you go. That's basically it on how to get MDC ID up and running on your Astro 25 series radio. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the flip side.